hit the like, subscribe. Kwame Brown took to his social media to go ahead and come for Tracy Mcgrady. You know, he's been catching a little bit of heat from the Kobe Bryant fanboys and others who, how dare he have the audacity to say that he could have won with Shaquille O'Neal. These people are off their rocker. They crazy. There was a legitimate debate over who was better between the two, and we'll get deeper into it. But first, let's get into Kwame Brown's comments.
Even he said you were lazy. You would get hurt in workouts. Nobody even touching your soft self. You getting hurt and cramping up and passing out in workouts. But you want to compare yourself to Kobe now that he dead. Why you ain't compare yourself to Kobe while he was alive so he could talk about some of them workouts y'all had where he'll make you quit? Why don't you talk about that? Why don't you talk about when you and Bean used to work out together? You want to call him your brother. That Bean would make you quit, would make you say uncle. And now you want to compare yourself to him now that he can't defend himself. You little crybaby. You want to rewrite history. Well, if I was, now imagine Kwame Brown saying that. Well, if I was to trade places with Kenyon and went to play with Jason Kidd, where I could use my athleticism and just run and jump and dunk and then post up, I would, and not play with Gilbert Arenas, I would have been in a better position. Not play with Michael Jordan. You think I wouldn't have won? You don't get to do that, you crybaby. You not like that. You not in that status. Were you a hell of a player? Yes. Could somebody chuck you in the back and rattle you? Yes. Could they get physical with you and you quit? Yes. You had team after team and chance after chance, and you never stepped up to the plate. So it don't matter if you would have had Shaq. Shaq would have got hurt in the final. You would have got hurt right behind him. Tell the truth. Even he said you were lazy. You's a liar!
So there you have it. Just some of the words of Kwame Brown. He went on about a 15-minute rant about this. One thing, he mentioned how soft T-Mac was. Brother, you get hurt in workouts, all this other nonsense. T-Mac, I think, made, 9 all-NBA teams, 9 or 10 all-NBA teams? You don't do that if you're soft. You don't do that if you have a weak mentality. Because especially with the teams he was on that didn't have a gang of talent on them, especially those Orlando teams, and then you go to Houston, Yao Ming hurt half the time. So you're having to, you got to play make because you don't have a real point guard. You got to score all the points because you're the best scorer on the team. You got to play defense and grab rebounds. He had a lot on his plate. And when Kobe Bryant had similar teams, like the teams that had you on them, he didn't win anything. And matter of fact, Kobe Bryant told a great story about you, Kwame Brown. So this is Kobe Bryant, UC Santa Barbara, and he's telling a story and he's highlighting the great hard-nosed player, tough, mentally tough Kwame Brown, right? The same dude is on the internet covering for people all the time. Let's listen to what Kobe had to say. This is going to be difficult to hear. So if you can't hear it, I'm going to go ahead and just paraphrase what he said. But try to hear it if you can.
Like the game before we traded for Powell, we were playing Detroit. They had like 40 points. Towards the end of the game, this was Detroit was had a huge chance. So we had no business being in the game. So that was stressing the game. They put a box in one of them. And so I was surrounded by these players, Detroit players, and Kwame's under the basket all by himself. Literally, like all by himself. So I'm passing the ball, and bobbles it goes out of bounds. So we go back to the timeout. I'm pissed, right? And he goes, hey, I was wide open. Yeah, I know. This is how I'm talking to him during the game. It's like, man, whatever. He's like, I said, you're going to be open the game, Kwame, because my sheets is totally. He said, well, I'm over that person. I'm like, huh? He said, no, don't talk to me. I said, why not? He said, well, I'm nervous. If I catch it and foul me, I won't make the free throw. I said, hell no. I go to Phil, I say, hey, Phil, man, take him out the game, man. He's like, nah, let me figure it out.
Damn!
So there you have it, the words of Kobe Bryant. Now, if you could not hear what he said, he basically said the game before they made that Pau Gasol trade, they were playing the Detroit Pistons. He had 40 points. They started playing a boxing one. And then at some point, Kobe finds Kwame Brown underneath the basket. He fumbles the basketball out of bounds. Kobe's upset. And then Phil Jackson calls a timeout. Kwame Brown tells Kobe, brother, don't pass me the basketball. Kobe is flabbergasted by that nonsense. What you mean don't pass me the basketball? He was wide open. Fumbled it out of bounds. Then he tells Kobe that he's nervous. He might miss the free throws. So the same dude got that tough talk for Tracy McGrady. You're not a tenth of the player that Tracy McGrady was. You don't have a tenth of his toughness mentally. You didn't have to carry nothing. You were supposed to, though, because you were one of one. You were round one, number one pick. Meaning you were supposed to be a franchise player. And just like you did in that game against the Detroit Pistons, brother, you dropped the ball. You were lazy. Didn't develop your game. Came in with the same, you retired with the same game that you came in with. Big body, could rebound, maybe block a couple shots. You had butter fingers. So the audacity to you to talking about, I could have replaced Kenya Martin and caught loss. Brother, you would have dropped them. And they would have got rid of you too. So I don't know what this man is talking about. With all his revisionist history, he's been spewing all over YouTube for the last few years about his career. Does he say some things that are correct? Yes. But a broken clock is right twice a day. Moreover, those teams that he played on were not stacked. He had to carry the load from day one. Remember, he's supposed to play with Grant Hill, and Grant Hill tore his ankle up. Also, Doc Rivers fumbled Tim Duncan going to Orlando. So you actually would have had an opportunity to have Shaq and Kobe in one conference in the West, and T-Mac and Tim Duncan in the East. Then we would have really seen what was going on, because Tracy McGrady had to carry a lot. He did not have the luxury of playing 8 years with a Shaquille O'Neal his first 8 years. He didn't have that. And that adds a lot of wear and tear to your body, having to carry, I'm not going to call them bums, but having to carry a team that wasn't the most talented. That's a lot. So for Kwame Brown to say that, you can't plug you in because Shaq would have got hurt, you would have got hurt with him. I mean, look, bro. We'll never know, because he didn't have the talent that Kobe Bryant had around him. He just didn't. It is what it is. So I want to talk about this We're going to kill narratives with facts, right? Because I don't just talk. I don't just talk here like Kwame Brown. So for those of y'all who forgot, listen to the man Kobe Bryant himself.
I always wish if I had one player to play with, it was this guy. Because listen, he could do everything I could do, but he was taller.
You would have liked that too.
When I talk to kids about that, that's what I tell them. When they ask about the hardest player I ever had to defend, I say it's pretty easy. It was Tracy, because he could do everything I could do.
But again, all of that stuff came from him, though. Like
Kids about that, that's what I tell them. I always wish if I had one player.
And you know what's funny about this clip that I didn't realize? Look at the center. Look at the center who's coming over late, not contesting shots. Watch this. Let me turn it down. There's Kwame right there as T-Mac is getting the basketball. Watch how he defends this. No contest, lazy swipe. Then he's going to, in this play, Kobe gets beat, comes over late. I actually wanted to rewind this so you hear Kobe's words. Kwame Brown's a fraud. But listen to Kobe again.
The player to play with, it was this guy. Because listen, he could do everything I could do, but he was taller.
You would have liked that too.
When I talk to kids about that, that's what I tell them. When they ask about the hardest player I ever had to defend, I say it's pretty easy. It was Tracy, because he could do everything I could do.
but again, all
So you heard from the man himself. Again, don't argue with me. Don't argue with Tracy Mcgrady. You can argue with Kobe Bryant himself. He can do everything I could do. He was just taller. Toughest person I had to defend in my career. This is the man who went up against a murderer's row of wings. Had to play against Paul Pierce in the finals. You understand me? Vince Carter was floating around. I mean, he played against dudes like Mitch Richmond and Allen Houston, Latrell Sprewell. I'm not even mentioning, I mean, shoot, he played against Jordan too. He's that old, right? Old enough to play against Jordan. He was a pup, but he still played against him. There were a ton of dudes he had to play against. Oh, and this is after LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade, Richard Hamilton, Reggie Miller, all kinds of dudes that he had to play against. He said that dude was my toughest person I had to deal with. Tracy Mcgrady. So Kwame Brown, maybe, there's rumors, maybe he was heavily intoxicated throughout his career and things of that nature, allegedly. I don't know if that's true or not. So maybe that's why his memory is foggy. Literally pulled up a clip of Kobe Bryant saying what he was saying, and Kwame Brown is getting cooked in the highlights. That is the literal epitome of Kwame Brown's career. Brother, you're a failure and lazy. Period. So we're going to go ahead and talk about, because he mentioned how T-Mac would fold. So we're going to pull up some numbers here. So here we are on Tracy McGrady's basketball reference page. Now we want to look at a few things here. So this is a dude who, once he went to Orlando, you can see they had shackles on him in Toronto. 15 points a game his last year there in 2000. He jumps up to 27 points a game. You understand me? And honestly, in what I would say was the toughest era in NBA history to score, it was extremely, extremely difficult. Extremely difficult, which is why they lightened the rules up a handful of years later. But 26.8, 25.6, then 32. And he got MVP votes for what's that? 6 out of the next 8 years. You're talking about a dude who is soft, he's getting MVP votes every year. Kwame Brown led the league in scoring twice. And you young cats might not think 25.6 and 32 and 28 are impressive. Let me tell you something. If you averaged 20 back then, in those days, you were a top tier scorer. If you averaged 25 and up, you were beyond that. There weren't very many guys averaging 25 and up. And it wasn't nearly as many averaging 20. It's not like it is today, where you got like 80 dudes averaging 20 and above. It wasn't like that. You might have had 10, 15, 20 maybe. It wasn't like it is today. So for him to do that in these years, again, 2001, 27. Next year, 25. 32 the next year. 28 the next year. 26, we're going to round up. 25.7. 24 the next year. 26 the next year. And then 2008, the injury started getting to him. He averaged 21. And then 2009, he averaged 15.6. And then you see the career was basically went in a downward spiral at that point because of the knee problems that he had. And he actually had them in 2008 too, but he was playing through them. So we're armed with that. Let's look at his playoff numbers. So this is the dude who averaged his first playoff series. He averaged 15 points a game in the regular season. He averaged 17 in the playoffs. 2001, 33.8 points a game. We're going to round it up to 34 a game. Next year, 31 a game. Next year, 32 a game. Next year, 31 again. How's your average going up in the playoffs when the physicality increases, when people are trying their hardest to stop you? They're game planning for you. They're not playing you on the second night of a back-to-back. They're game planning for you. And your averages go up. That means he rose to the occasion. He just didn't have the supporting cast. He just didn't have it. I look at a guy like Kevin Garnett. If Kevin Garnett didn't end up on the Celtics, he would have been called a career loser. He would have been called a bum. He'd be placed in the same category as Tracy Mcgrady. He wouldn't be considered a championship type player. He wouldn't have been. T-Mac going to Houston was supposed to be that move for him, but unfortunately, Yao Ming's health, and then towards the end, he got injured too from having to carry all these bums for almost a decade. His body just gave out. So, I believe I fully debunked Kwame Brown, but you might disagree. So let me know what you think. Was Kwame Brown correct? Was Tracy McGrady, a failure and has the audacity to compare himself to a Kobe Bryant, saying again that if you swap him out for Kobe, the Lakers still win? Or is Kwame Brown spitting some nonsense and he's living in La La Land? Let me know what you guys think and hit the like, subscribe. Till next time, I'm out.